kind of late right now. It's almost midnight, but I figured I should record a video since I've almost had a week of absence. My original plan was I was going to see The Dark Knight Rises Tuesday and review that, but something kept on gnawing at me. I was kind of suspicious of it to begin with, and I decided to do something I don't normally do and spoil the movie for myself. I'm glad I did. It saved me about $16 of going to the theater and leaving it going, I want to kill someone. So I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna ruin it for people. If they enjoy it, that's on them. But I'm not gonna waste money on something I know that throughout most of the movie, if not all of it, I'm going to be going, why? I can do that for free. Well, for $8 a month. I have Netflix, and instead of reviewing The Dark Knight Rises, I'm going to review a movie that I'm pretty sure a lot of people have not seen. And I gotta say, that's kind of sad. The movie's called The Fall. It's directed by Tarsem Singh. I never heard of them. But, if you've watched a Terry Gilliam movie, Time Bandits, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, even to a lesser extent, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which I'd watch the other two. Just me. This movie falls in that category of kind of a story within a story fantasy, but based in reality, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Essentially what it is, like, storyline-wise, you have one character telling the story that is fictitious, but the overarching story is based in reality. In the case of Baron Munchausen, it's the man who cannot lie, and he has this story where he danced with Venus and pissed off Hephaestus, which obviously never happened, but somehow he was able to both get back his youth and fight off the army with just 5 men. It's a great movie, though. You should definitely see that one too. Time Bandits Time Bandits was a great movie, but didn't have that story structure. Pan's Labyrinth did, but I'm straying. The Fall, it takes place in 1920s Los Angeles, and what got me off guard at first was I thought it was going to end up being a silent movie, even though it was made in 2006. Because the way it starts, it's like black and white film in the beginning. It stars Ned Pace, the guy who played the pie maker in Pushing Daisies, as a stuntman who lost the use of his legs and is in the hospital, telling this little girl, Alexandria, a story of these 5 bandits trying to kill someone named Governor Odious, who did one thing or another to these different bandits. Like, to the Indian, he kidnapped his beautiful squaw of a wife. I'll get to that, or how she perceives them, in a minute. And, since she wants nothing to do with Odious, he puts her into this maze where the only way out is for her to kill herself. And she's walking through this maze, and the last thing you see of her before she jumps off the highest wall are these bloody footprints. Which is surprising, because it's not that graphic. You just see like 1 or 2 bloody footprints, and then her falling. But I'll get to that in a bit too. And the whole time he's telling Alexandria the story, he's basically using it as a way to get morphine so he could try to kill himself. That's not a major spoiler. That's pretty much said from the get-go once he's introduced and trying to ask her things. Like, he writes down morphine, but the way she reads it, since she's Romanian born, not native to America, and English isn't her first language, she mistakes the E as a 3. So she finds this bottle of morphine and empties out all but 3 of the pills. He looks at it, he's like, this isn't going to help me at all. But he still tells her the story to keep the promise. And, still tries to use her to get the morphine. But what shocked me about the movie is how everything tied together in the end. Alexandria picks oranges, and that's how she broke her arm and ended up in the hospital, which makes her perceive the story in a different way than he means it. Like, when he says Indian and squaw, you're thinking, okay, Native American. But she's thinking of someone that she worked with on the orange orchard who's from India. And she pictures everything based around him as East Indian. One of the characters in it, I normally don't say I'd love a character with this name, but I could not help but love this guy. Charles Darwin. And they do a reference, I had to research this a bit, he has a monkey in a bag named Wallace. Well, the thing is about the real-life Charles Darwin, Cthulhu's glaring at that, but, stop scanning. Not everybody believes he got his theories from himself. They think he stole it from another guy named Wallace. And towards the end of the movie, something happens to Darwin's monkey, and he says, now the world will never know that all my ideas were actually yours. And now that I know the thing about Wallace and Darwin in real life, I'm looking back on that and going, that is funny, but horribly sad. The movie is a tearjerker towards the end, and it's not because of anything you would think. Like, he does something with the story that is very, very shocking. And as he's telling her the last bit of the story, she's panicking, he's kind of panicking, you're watching this and you really, really feel this, like, this oncoming dread. And that has a lot to do with not just the direction, but how the story is told, and how everything fits together, especially at the very end where you see how he got the idea for the story in the first place, was from the movie he harmed himself filming. I mean, that's not even a spoiler. You would think that is, but it's not. That's not really saying a whole hell of a lot, because in his movie, Darwin wasn't a character. But Darwin is something that has something to do with the overall story of the movie. Same with one of my favorite characters in it, Luigi. He is part of the movie within the movie and the story within the movie. And I didn't place 2 and 2 together until now. But seriously, if you have Netflix, it's there. It's streaming, and with Netflix, it's going to be there a limited time. If this part, if what I'm saying doesn't make sense to you, if you've never heard of Terry Gilliam or seen any of his movies, definitely watch them. Hell, if you haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth, watch that. If, you know. Cthulhu's trying to whisper the same thing in my ear, apparently. But, because it is kind of the same structure, but it's taken in a wildly different direction, and I have to hand it to the crew of the movie, the director. They did some pretty clever stuff with everything in the movie. One of the characters in the story is called the Black Bandit, or the Red Bandit, something like that. He wears a red mask and a black outfit, and in the beginning of the movie, he's played by the same actor who plays Alexandria's dead father. But the next time he starts telling Lee Pace starts telling the story, he's playing the bandit because she doesn't want to associate the bandit with her father anymore. She wants to associate it with him. There's another really clever transition they did, where they have this priest doing a wedding for these two people, and then the story transitions to the fact that the priest actually betrayed them. Now they're going to fall into the bad guy's trap, and the priest just gives this smile, and as it fades to the next scene, there's this desert where the rock outline makes these two squinty eyes, the nose, the mouth, and then you have the dunes making the lines from the priest's face. It was utterly brilliant how they did it. The director swears up and down he didn't use CGI, and I'm actually inclined to believe it. At least not for the backgrounds. Now, what I was saying about the bloody feet, I do want to touch on this since I'm running a little bit out of time. This movie is rated R, and I do not know why, other than maybe the depiction of suicide. There is blood in it, but it's not so much where if you're squeamish, you're going to be afraid. There's no language in it. There's maybe some dialogue, and definitely the whole thing about Lee Pace's character trying to kill himself. But, like, you see a few people get shot, and they have bright red, obviously fake blood coming out of the wounds, and then that's it. I think the most gruesome scene's when somebody's run through. And even then, that's kind of like... I see that in PG-13 rated movies every once in a while. But, yeah, it's really not... It's violent, but not to the point where it's gruesomely violent. And I think an R rating was a little too harsh for it. But that's just me. It's kind of hard... It's no more violent than the Spawn movie. And that movie had a guy being burnt alive. Granted, the Spawn movie was kind of shitty from the beginning, if you really read the comics, but the point still stands. The Spawn movie was a lot more violent than an R-rated movie and got a PG-13 rating. I don't get it. I think maybe it's because of the blood, or the depiction of suicide. That's all I can think, because they say in the descriptor violence. But, definitely, if you can find it, it probably won't show on TV. It's a fairly, not independent, but arty film. If you can find it on DVD, if you have Netflix, if you can watch it there, definitely watch it. It is worth it. Honestly, I'm glad I saw that over The Dark Knight Rises. And I think I'd say that even if I was still planning on seeing The Dark Knight Rises, mainly for the fact that I like art films like this occasionally. I loved Pan's Labyrinth. I love most of Terry Gilliam's work. I think the only exceptions are looking for the band hammers or flame wars here. The only exceptions are the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus and Brazil. I absolutely hated Brazil, and that's just me. But I'm rambling, I know, but definitely go see it. Anyway, I gotta go and put this video on YouTube and put Mr. Cthulhu back in his cage. Yep, boggle out the camera some more, you ham. Coffee's been giving you lessons, hasn't he, Cthulhu? Alright, I'll see you guys later. I am going to plan on a new Let's Play soon. I will still be doing NCIS, but we're having trouble still with the Dazzle. If you've seen it, you know how much it's been lagging. But, I'm also planning a Let's Play of a few other games I have right off the top of my head. I can tell you I'm probably not going to do Red Johnson like I was planning on, mainly because I'll have to have a computer open on a walkthrough constantly because the puzzles are impossible without it. But, I may do a Let's Play of... Thinking! Resident Evil, Operation Raccoon City, if I don't sell it first. Because that game is just hilarious. I was going to do a brain junk food of it, but I may do a Let's Play of it just for the sheer fact that I'll be telling a lot of people to get the hell out of my way, and you're going to see me really induced with a lot of rage. But that's either definitely what I'm going to do, or somewhere down the line I will do it. I'd rather do it sooner rather than later. But I'm also, once I get the thing set up for the computer to record from the computer as well, I'm going to start work on the brain junk food. Until then, until my next vlog, I will see you guys later.